So this is a little impromptu video I'm just making based on the last video I made where some people don't understand a very simple fact about Hearthstone is win condition cards like this one, oh, like the Demon Seed or Shutterwalk, right, are not the best cards in the decks they're in, almost always. Yes, the Demon Seed is a strong card. Yes, Shutterwalk is a strong card. But they're not the best cards in the deck. In the Demon Seed, it's Dark Lair, right? It's Kobold Librarian. Things like that. Raise Dead, right? Yeah, you have the Demon Seed as your big build-around card, right? It's the big quest, it's the big legendary that you're building your entire deck around, right? But if you don't have the engine to support those cards, they're bad. Look at things like Questline Hunter. This is the perfect example. This card is so incredibly powerful, but the engine for it is still terrible. Yes, it was nerfed to requiring 3 spells, but the bigger nerf to this deck was the rapid fire nerf, where you couldn't run it in Odd Hunter anymore, right? And because of that, the deck lost a lot of damage, it lost a lot of just threat to your opponent. This is still amazing, right, in Tavish Master Marksman, and if you get to that point, you are incredibly, you're probably going to win the game. The issue is getting to that point and actually still having enough spells to do that, right? It's not good. That's why something like Defend the Dwarven District, the Hunter quest line, is a build around, it is a win condition that is bad, because the engine for it sucks, unlike the Demon Seed. This is how it works for a lot of these decks, right? Shutterwalk Shaman is the same way. If you go to Shutterwalk, you can see, like, cards fucking broken. It's 2-mana Brand that also repeats. Macaw, incredibly powerful card. It'll repeat all your good battle cries. You have, like, Schooling. Super, super powerful 1-mana spell. I should have put this over Ice Fishing. In the last video, I definitely should have put this over Ice Fishing. That's not a question. I messed up on that one. I just forgot the card existed. I will be real. Totemic Might still the GOAT. I don't care. But like, it's the engines that let you get to the place of playing your big bomb win condition that are good. That's why for like Druid, I put Aquatic Form and Moonlit Guidance, right? These are not the win condition cards of Druid by any means, but they're super powerful cycle cards that help you get through your deck. 0 mana, draw 1, 2 mana, get a copy of your good card or get a copy of a card, and then if you play the same turn, you're going to draw it. If it's a draw card and you play in the same turn, you're going to get a lot of card draw through that. For Rogue, it was Gear Shift. Gear Shift, 1 mana, it's going to put your bad giants back in your deck and draw 3. If you play it off of Secret Passage, you're going to draw 3 because you get to keep the cards. If you have an empty hand, you draw 3. That's why it's better than all the other quote-unquote 1 mana draw 1s, because they only draw you 1 card. This card is drawing you more than 1 card almost all the time. Or you have, of course, Secret Passage, which, you know, same thing. It's not 1 mana, draw 4. It's 1 mana, get 4 cards. If you can play them, that's really, really good. And if those cards also draw you cards, that's where the power of Secret Passage comes from. Oh, you can passage out, you know, some giants. That's really good. Or you could passage out more draw cards, so your Secret Passage does actually draw you all those cards. That's why you have cards like Secret Passage and Gear Shift being the best cards. Not whatever win condition garbage that's going to be in those decks, right? This is something that like players don't understand when they evaluate cards. Is in Standard, the win condition is what's the most important card, because there's so few cards that it's like, okay, the win condition has to be super, super powerful for it to be a thing, right? Like Odin, like, of course, the quest lines and things like that. But for Wild, it's about the engine. If the engine isn't there, then it doesn't matter how powerful the win condition is, because you're just going to die and lose the game before you get to that point. It's going to be super slow, and it's not going to be impactful in any possible way before you get to that point. That's why win conditions aren't as big of a deal. Yes, they're obviously what you're building the deck around, and that's how you win the game. But that's just it. It is a win condition. You know, it's not getting you to that point. That's why cards like Mining Casualties are what I pick for like Death Knight, why it was Mana Burn, right? These cards that get you towards winning the game are the actual powerful cards. The cards you're playing more often because they're going to win you more games. Like, whatever your win condition is, say your win condition is Jace. Fucking, where is it? Jace. What? Oh, Jace. Jace Darkweaver. Say this is your win condition in your deck. It's still the worst card in your deck because you have to survive until you can play Jace. So all the other cards in your deck have to be better than Jace's. You know? It doesn't matter if Jace is going to kill your opponent, which he isn't because he sucks. It has to be, can these cards survive and draw you towards and get you towards Jace in the best way possible? That's what makes a card good. Same thing applies to Druid. That's why you see a lot of armor gain cards, or you see a lot of mana ramping cards. Those are the better cards in Druid, not your Aviana ENR combo. That's the worst part of the class. Yeah, it's good. Don't get me wrong. Of course, if they were bad, you wouldn't be running them. But those are the bad, quote-unquote, cards. That's why you don't want to see them early, because they're expensive and you can't play them. That's why win conditions are objectively the worst cards in your deck, almost always. Let's look at some more. We can go through Hunter. Hunter doesn't have a win condition, but it has really powerful cards to get to that point. So it kind of like is the opposite, right? It's something I've said for a long time, is Hunter doesn't have a win condition, but all the cards that are there are good. And that's part of it, right? Hunter doesn't have something to build around, so there's no point to put all the cards together. That's why something like a Reno Renathal Hunter is so good, because your cards are individually so powerful that you can actually make use of it. Mage, you have like Ignite Mage, or you had the Quest, but like, the Quest, this was not the best card in Quest Mage. It was... Where is it? We'll find it. Oh, and we're scrolling, and we hit 3 mana, and it's a secret, and it starts with the letter I. Oh my god, it's Ice Block. This is the best card in Mage. It wasn't the quest line. If Ice Block had been nerfed, the quest could have stayed. It just could have. But they decided to nerf the quest instead. Because it's also easier to nerf a win condition than it is to nerf, like, engine cards. If you just tap the mana or tap the effect of a win condition, the deck dies because they're so fragile. You need to have a win condition for the deck to work in the first place, but you need to actually have good cards to support the win condition. That's why they're so fragile. Then we can go to Paladin. Paladin's kind of the same way. It doesn't really have a win. It's not a class, or priest, I guess. Oh, what the heck? Paladin and priest. Sorry, I'm just going through the website so I can, like, explain my point. Like, actually, yeah, exactly. And, say... I don't know. Sorry, I'm just rambling. I'm just like a little upset about this, that people don't understand this in current year. It's been the same thing for a long time in Wild, where it's not the power of the card itself, it's the power of the engine behind it. That's why you have, like, I guess these aren't really good decks to showcase it. Let's go through. What was I gonna say? That's why you have, like, things like Big Priest were so good for a long time, because of, like, the engine, right? You have the engine of Shadow Essence giving you a 6-mana minion really early, and being able to resummon it with Eternal Servitude and Resurrect and things like that, right? But the engine gets nerfed in Shadow Essence, not the very powerful, like, cards that you're trying to summon, like Blood of Cahoon or Nepshalon, and then the deck dies. That's why... Where is it? Radiant Elemental is the card that I said is one of the best in Priest, because it's the engine. It's the whole way that the deck functions. It's all the cards that you're playing in your turn are getting discounted because of Radiant Elemental. It's because of Radiant Elemental that Miracle Priest is playable, or Inner Fire Priest, or things like that. It's not because, oh, you can cheat out these spells, or you can play these giants. Those are the payoffs caused by it. Same with Rogue, it's the draw cards that are really powerful. It's usually mana cheat, draw, or removal are the best cards. Damage is really good, don't get me wrong, but, like, a lot of cards deal damage. More cards deal damage than draw, mana cheat, and remove. That's for most classes. Warrior is also a great example, because Warrior, I chose the actual combo pieces themselves. So let's go to that. I'll just, up here, Warrior... Warrior is one of the few classes where it is the combo pieces themselves that are so powerful. You have your Risky Skipper, which is such an incredible 1-mana minion that can, clear the board. It can gain you a health. It can damage your minions for enrage. Razorfen Rockstar also fits in that combo. Same with Armorsmith. The reason I put Armorsmith together with Skipper is because they go together. They are, the same card, effectively, because you are only playing them together. Where is it? There we go, Armorsmith. You are playing them together always, always, always. Yeah, you could, and genuinely, it does make sense to make the argument that it was actually Roaring Applause and Light the Phoenix and Ankar that make these cards really good, right? And that's definitely true. But how do I word this? When it's a late game bomb kind of win condition, like Shutterwalk, or I guess turn 5 for Tamsin, then they are less impactful than when they're really cheap and you can play them early and you can actually impact the board with them at the same time. Like you can Skipper, Armorsmith, all that junk. Usually, though, it is just going to be how you get towards it in some kind of way. This is the exception, not the rule, the Warrior class for sure. Another card that I chose for Warrior is Shield Shatter, which, on the other hand, does go towards that game plan. It is just an ultra-powerful removal card. 10 mana, costs 1 less for each armor you have, so effectively it's 0 mana, deal 5 to all minions. Fucking-sane card. Another neutral card people seem to not understand was Razor Scale. I don't understand why Razor Scale is not something people are understanding. Let's find it. I don't want to search it up. It's annoying. It's R-A-Z. So, should be around here. So 3 mana, 2/4. There we go. 3 mana, 2/4. Dragon. Your cards can't cost less than 2. People were questioning, oh, this isn't such an immediately powerful card, and it is a tech card. Yes, it's the best tech card ever printed. By a lot. By an utterly significant margin. Because it's not a specific tech card. It hits everything. If you're playing an aggro deck and they play Razor Scale, your 1-mana minions are +1 mana. That's huge. If you're playing a combo deck and you try to discount your cards, Razor Scale removes that. If you're playing Rogue and you have super cheap cards that you want to cycle through your deck and play a bunch of spells with, this fucks it over. Razor Scale will only and only and only get better as time goes on, and this is easily it's hard to conceptualize a tech card being powerful because on its own it's not that great. Yes, I will admit, but it's the same. But it's the same way that you have to conceptualize win conditions being powerful. It does something to the game and to your deck that you necessarily need. You run Razor Scale because it wins you matchups. You run win conditions because they win you matchups. It's the same thing. You run Shutterwalk not because it's a good card, but because if you can play Shutterwalk, you win the game, right? If you can play Shutterwalk, it wins you the game. The issue is, of course, like I was saying before, you have to have all these good cards to get to Shutterwalk. That's why Shutterwalk isn't the best card in the deck. Same with Tamsin. If you can play it, it wins you the game. That's where Razor Scale is a card for other decks, right? If you can play Razor Scale, it wins you the game. But Razor Scale costs 3 mana and requires no setup. That's why it's such a powerful card. If you can play Razor Scale against Rogue, it wins you the game. If you can play Razor Scale against Huron Hunter, it wins you the game. That's where my reasoning comes from. I hope that was a good enough explanation for people who are wondering why I put the cards that I did. I'm going to put this up, I don't know, maybe an hour. If it's 2:01 p.m. right now, so it's going to go up 2 hours after. But yeah, that's what the reasoning was for it. I don't really have much else to say. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I hope this clarifies what I was talking about. Actually, I think I'm just going to upload this tomorrow. Fuck it, I don't really care. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.
Shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. It's evil.